The anticipation that has been building for Taylor Swift to perform in Toronto is just about over. City officials have rolled out the welcome mat. The police have promised tight security. And now it's over to the fans to celebrate one of the world's biggest pop stars. And Brittany Billette is at Rogers Centre for us tonight. The merchandise line continues to grow. Lots of action there at Rogers Centre today. Hey, Brittany.
Absolutely, Chris. People here say they've been waiting a really long time to see Swift live. People have come here from coast to coast, and they're just saying that they just can't wait. Take a listen.
I flew over here yesterday, my first time on a plane, so anything for Tay-Tay.
I'm pretty pumped up, real excited, can't wait.
I'm so excited. I've been waiting a year and a half for the concert. I can't wait. This week just feels so long. I just want it to be over.
The town will be painted Taylor Swift red for the next 2 weeks. Her Eras tour stop in Toronto could be the biggest concert event the city has ever hosted. Some fans traveled across the country to be here.
My mom spent a lot of money. My mom spent a lot of money.
A lot more than we thought it was going to be, but it's going to be a lifetime experience they never forget. So definitely worth every penny.
The city is estimating a whopping 500,000 visitors will be in Toronto for the tour. 6 sold-out shows at the Rogers Centre happening over this week and next. There's stepped-up security across the core, and roads will probably be bonkers.
The traffic is going to be terrible. I'm worried about that.
Residents downtown are bracing for the crowds. There will be police checkpoints near the stadium to reduce traffic, and some roads will be closed at different times during concert days. To help with congestion, the city is encouraging people to take transit.
It's going to be a bit of a hassle to get to the TDC and reach there, considering there's so many cars and people going around and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
The TTC says it'll have extra service on subway lines and streetcar routes downtown. Metrolink says the GO will have additional train service to help keep people moving. For some, it'll all seem a little chaotic. But for many fans, this weekend is something out of their wildest dreams.
Didn't feel real for a while, but now we're here.
Her music really speaks to me in so many ways. And she also helped me a lot through the pandemic when she released both her albums. And I just feel like she's amazing with her fans, and she's just such a genuine person.
I love her music, obviously, but more so I love how she brings people together. It's just such a sense of like community and belonging. It's really beautiful that an artist can do that, I think.
So as you can see, Chris, they're absolutely elated, and keep in mind, this isn't just the concert that people have come to Toronto for. It's the bracelet swapping, it's the dance parties, the listening parties, and of course, the tailgate happening at the convention center. And to think, this isn't even day one.
The Tay-Tay tailgate. All right, lots of people excited for this concert. Thank you, Brittany. So the fans are certainly ready for it, but what about police? They've been planning for weeks to keep everybody safe during the tour, and Dale Manukduk walks us through the security apparatus.
Toronto police have been posting a lot about the Taylor Swift concert run. Just today, they posted or reposted 5 times, including this one with some tips. You'll notice there at the bottom it says that age-old saying, if you see something, say something. Well, police are making it easier for you to see officers in case you do have something to say. Here's how.
We're doing that through the use of a lighting device worn by our officers, as well as an alternate lighting feature that is available on our police cars. We are certainly mindful that we are on the eve of 6 shows that will be put on by Ms. Swift, and also mindful of all the fans that will be here as a result. And ultimately, we're here today to show you what things will look like tomorrow.
This way of identifying police isn't new. It's part of Project Magnify, which the force is using in multiple divisions.
One of those places was 14th Division, where I am the inspector there, and we have an entertainment district with callback officers that monitor that area, and they've been wearing this device as well, and again, it's been a resounding success.
There's 60,000 fans going to each show and tens of thousands more in the city each night for supplementary entertainment. These types of crowds aren't new to Toronto. Every year there's the Santa Claus Parade, Jay's home opener, countless concerts. Who could forget the Stones playing to nearly 500,000 back in 2003? But these crowds do pose a unique challenge.
Youthful participants can create a bit more of a challenge because you don't have the operational, skills as an adult to make reasonable judgments for yourself, just looking both ways before you cross the street, walking into traffic, those sort of areas. So you're gonna have a lot of jubilant, a lot of exuberant, youthful people, and then you're gonna see a heavy turnout from Toronto Police and presence just to manage and mitigate any problems.
Stephen Somerville is a former Toronto cop with lots of experience in crowd management. He's now in security and has worked with Live Nation on a number of events.
Just seeing police out in such large numbers, if you as an individual have any inappropriate intent, the deterrence factor is higher than normal.
Dale Manukduk, CBC News, Toronto.
New details are emerging tonight about a gunfight that happened in Queen West on Monday night. Toronto police officers were caught in the middle of a gun battle as dozens of shots were fired. For that story, here's Greg Ross.
Multiple gunshots rang out near Queen Street West and Sudbury Street Monday. It was a gun battle outside of a downtown recording studio. To make matters worse, some Toronto police officers unexpectedly found themselves stuck in the middle of it all while sitting in an unmarked vehicle.
We are lucky that no one was killed, especially a police officer who was in that car.
CBC News has learned through a police source that a group of people gathered at a studio in this building at 1196 Queen Street West. Undercover officers from 52 Division went to the building hoping to find a wanted person. While police officers waited outside, another group of people showed up. They had guns and started firing at the building. People inside the studio returned fire. There are no reported injuries from the exchange, but police say there was nearly 100 shots in total. Some hit the car that the undercover police were sitting in. 23 people were arrested, including a young offender with 3 firearms prohibitions.
Every single day in the city of Toronto, somebody's arrested who's out on bail. It is a common practice to find people involved in further violent offenses.
Today, the Toronto Police Association, along with 2 other police unions in the province, put out a joint call to the federal government to change bail requirements. They want to make it harder for repeat offenders to get back out onto the streets.
We're again not asking for everybody to be kept in custody. We're talking repeat violent offenders. This is really not about politics. It's about public safety.
It's not typically a good idea to make to change laws, to make new policy based on individual cases, based on really extreme cases.
This professor at the Osgoode Hall Law School says he understands the desire to keep violent offenders behind bars, but he says judges already take into account past offenses and charges when making a decision about bail.
I think every case needs to be looked on its merits, on its context, and the judge, the hearing judge, will look at that context and take that into account, make that determination. Do they always get it right? No. Do they do it in good faith? Absolutely.
He worries that bail reform could hit racialized communities the hardest.
The likelihood is we will continue to even further overrepresent in the way we have systemic racism through the justice system already.
Police say it's not political. They say it's solely based on the severity of crimes.
This is people involved in shootings, robberies, carjackings. We need to make sure that they're kept in custody.
The 3 police associations that are demanding the federal government take action represent 35,000 police members across the province. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
Up in Markham, police continue to investigate a series of incidents involving people being injured after rocks were thrown at moving vehicles. The OPP and York Regional Police are looking into a total of 20 reported incidents. Tyler Cheese has an update tonight on the people injured in one of the collisions and why police are having such a tough time IDing suspects.
This dashcam footage released by the OPP shows a crash that sent 2 people to hospital in life-threatening condition on September 20th. You can see the victim's vehicle approaching Highway 48 from the westbound lane on Major Mackenzie Drive. That's when police say a rock was thrown from another vehicle, causing the driver to lose consciousness and slam into another car.
One of those people, thankfully, has been released from hospital but is still recovering, and the other one is still in hospital with life-altering injuries. I mean, these behaviors are are a serious threat to public safety.
So this is Highway 48 behind me. We're just south of Major Mackenzie Drive where one of these incidents happened. It's a busy stretch with lots of vehicles moving quickly through the intersection, and you can just imagine how scary it would be for those drivers to suddenly have one of these rocks smashing through your windshield.
Why would anybody do that?
I never thought that was possible, that I would even have to think about a rock coming through my windshield.
This map shows the location of some of the reported incidents. The OPP have received 11 reports in total, all along Highway 48, while York Regional Police have reported another 9 incidents in the same area.
People are driving along and they're getting hit by these very large rocks that are coming through their windshields. We know that there are people that know who is responsible for this, and we're asking them to come forward and provide us with the information.
The two police services are working closely together, but have not yet confirmed if all of the incidents are related to one another. Officers say it's been difficult to track down potential suspects because the incidents have happened in the dark.
We have put considerable efforts into the investigation and have followed up on numerous tips and leads. But we still are looking for the public's assistance. If anyone has seen anything suspicious, we are looking for a dark SUV, that is the description of the vehicle, and unknown person or persons.
Anyone with more information is asked to contact the OPP Aurora Detachment or the York Regional Police. Tyler Cheese, CBC News, Markham.
At Toronto City Hall today, Council gave the green light to a new plan that'll see the city offer hundreds of millions in incentives to developers to build housing. But there are some councillors who are skeptical about whether the new plan will work. City Hall reporter Sean Jeffords has that story.
The item carries. The vote is 23-1.
A big majority on City Council taking a big swing at Toronto's housing crisis. Councillors approved a $450 million plan to provide incentives to builders. They say it will help get shovels in the ground on new rental housing. It's something Toronto desperately needs, as new housing starts dropped by over 80% last month. Inflation and high interest rates are making the margins on these projects unaffordable.
We can't afford to have the housing pipeline dry up because of the difficult market conditions. We need to see these rental homes built, and we will work with the industry to make it happen.
The plan will establish an indefinite deferral of development charges on purpose-built rental, estimated to save builders over $37,000 a unit. It will cut property taxes by 15% for 35 years, saving about $20,000 a unit. The city says the full incentives plan, including foregone taxes and fees, saves developers just over $97,000 a unit. The head of the city's housing committee says the first phase of the program will fund 7,000 units, and he expects builder applications will flood in.
We're taking a bit of a risk and going out by ourselves. Municipal governments typically don't pay for affordable housing. That first phase, I think, is going to be oversubscribed. I think we'll sell out almost as fast as a Taylor Swift concert.
Am I right about that?
But the vice chair of that same committee at City Hall isn't convinced. Developers have already said the rules to qualify for the funding are too restrictive, he says.
The feedback has been actually very clear. The incentives proposed are not enough. It's mild, it's meek, it's inadequate to unstick the 29,000 to 37,000 housing units that are approved and sitting on the sidelines, stuck in the pipeline.
What they're doing is shuffling costs.
Councillor Stephen Holliday was the lone vote against the plan. He says spending taxpayer cash on these incentives doesn't guarantee success. And it's money that could have been spent elsewhere to improve city parks and roads.
This is at a cost of hundreds of millions of dollars to the taxpayers, an enormous strain on our ability to deliver the important infrastructure in the city that you see all around you.
We have a huge agenda.
Staff will report back to Council next month on which projects have been awarded the funding. Sean Jeffords, CBC News, Toronto.
Also at City Hall today, Council passed a temporary increase to the city's hotel tax. The move is meant to help offset FIFA costs. Toronto needs to fill a $95 million cost gap to co-host the World Cup in 2026. The hotel tax rate will increase from 6% to 8.5%, and it's expected to raise about $56 million. The increase is set to take effect next summer and last until July of 2026. Welcome back. In Mississauga today, the mayor and councillors held a press conference calling on other levels of government to help address growing food insecurity.
Mississauga saw the largest escalation in food bank visits in all of Ontario. Our neighbours are struggling. Over 56,000 of them here in Mississauga used a food bank in the last year.
The federal and provincial governments don't contribute at all. The Thanksgiving drives are no longer enough. We need some long-term solutions.
Council also passed a motion today officially declaring a food emergency. The city says 1 in every 13 Mississauga residents currently relies on food banks. We have an update for you tonight on Honest Ed's. Believe it or not, the iconic place shut down 8 years ago, but the massive housing development to replace it is still not done. Talia Ricci went to find out why, looking back at some of our previous reporting along the way.
It is the end of an era for bargain hunting in Toronto. Honest Ed's, famous for those funny signs and puns, has shut its doors for good after 68 years in business.
We've actually acquired the site 11 years ago, so this has been over a decade in the making. It's a huge development. It spans 1.5 city blocks. There's 890 residential homes, of which there's 366 affordable homes, so below market. Those will be just sprinkled amongst all the homes, so we're not differentiating in finishes or anything, the affordable component from the market units. In terms of the number of businesses, I think at the end of the day, there will probably be 50 or 60 at least, because we've got everything from a large grocery store, Bestco, which will be opening early next year at the corner of Bloor and Bathurst, to a liquor store, to a large educational institution.
What was the, I guess, initial timeline of having residents move in, and where is that at now?
When we started construction, we probably had expected to be finished probably a year to 16 months sooner than we will be finished. So we've got one building already occupied. It's 90 units. It's on the corner of Bathurst and Lennox Street. And there's 6 residential buildings in total, and they will occupy sort of sequentially between the end of this year and next summer.
There are many people waiting anxiously for those apartments. So getting those units finally available so people can live in them, huge for the people who need the housing, and also huge for the businesses and community all around. We have towers going up all over the city, all over my ward. But these people are special because they built purpose-built rental. Purpose-built rental is built to a higher level of quality. It's meant to last. It's more comfortable for the people who live in them. They have security of tender. Purpose-built rental is what we need. We do not need more condos.
This has always been, with Honest Ed's and Mirvish Village, it's always been this kind of melting pot, and we really want to bring that back. So the idea is that this is kind of the heart of the project. Mostly it's just open to the public, this space, and in the summer, because we have this huge aircraft hangar door, when the weather's right, we can just lift that up, and we're facing Markham Street and across Markham Street to the new city park. So this is Honest Ed's Alley, and it doesn't look like much right now because there's no businesses in it and there's no people. The idea is that there will be, a whole lot of signage in here. Probably ultimately we'll have even some kiosks down the middle. The idea is to really make this feel like a bit of a bazaar. By the time we get to next summer, I think what people will be able to see is they'll be able to come to Mirvish Village. They'll be able to stroll down Markham Street. There will be restaurants open. This place will kind of retake its position within the neighborhood and within the city.
In sports, the start of the PWHL season is just weeks away, so the Toronto Scepters held their media day today, and the team looking to build momentum after making the playoffs last season.
I think that we were able to see what we had last year, see what worked and maybe what didn't. And I look at, what our GM has been able to bring in and add through the draft and through free agency. And I'm very excited about the people that we've been able to bring in. But I even think from a coaching standpoint, I think they have a better understanding about what we need as a group of players to be as successful as possible.
Some of those key new add-ons include forwards Daryl Watts and Emma Woods. The team will open the season without league MVP Natalie Spooner, who's currently recovering from a knee injury. And the PWHL regular season starts on November 30th. We'll be right back. Time now for a check on weather with Chris Potter. And Chris, last night super chilly, slipping below zero for the first time this season, hey?
Yeah, I mean, we've had I don't want to say a spoiled November temperature-wise, but it kind of has felt like that. Even rewind the tape back in October, we had record highs a few times.
Well, you were golfing not too long ago.
And I might even be able to head out to the links as we get into this Saturday. The weekend, not to fast forward it too much, looks fantastic. It looks dry. Now, speaking of the temperatures, we did have more seasonable highs yesterday and today. Seasonable lows last night as temperatures dropped just below the 0-degree mark. And you take a look at the weather stats, and that's basically on par with where we should be for this time of year. So the last 24 hours, we were seasonable. Through the overnight, we're actually going to remain above normal temperature-wise. Today's highs were around 7 in the city, 4 through Ottawa, 11 through Windsor, and through tonight, temperatures might actually only drop a degree or 2, making up for the cold start this morning. Lots of cloud cover building in. This is all thanks to our next system, a wet weather maker. Try to say that a few times fast, moving in from the American Midwest. And this will spread rainfall into southwestern Ontario through tonight towards Windsor, Chatham, Sarnia, but it will hold to our southwest tonight. It will hold to our southwest for the bulk of the morning and the afternoon. It's really late afternoon and into the evening that the rainfall that moves in will weaken. It kind of gets disorganized, if you will. So we're looking at more or less scattered light showers through the late afternoon and especially through the evening across the GTA. That's all thanks to the system that will hold south of the lower Great Lakes. It will weaken into the day on Friday, but it's still going to provide us with a fairly cloud-filled day. Still dry, northerly winds. The further north and east you go, the more sunshine you're going to be welcomed to Friday afternoon. Look at the map. Cloud cover in the GTA. To our north, to our west, sunshine to our east. So it all depends on where you're going to be Friday afternoon, whether or not you see a lot of blue sky. High pressure continues to build in slowly from the west into the day on Saturday. Most areas will hover with daytime highs a bit above normal, mostly sunshine with a little bit more cloud to our north. In terms of the winds, they will pick up through the overnight from the southeast. Once again, that's going to stabilize the temperatures through the overnight. We're going to hold on to southeasterly winds as we head through the day tomorrow, gusting frequently to 40, maybe 45 kilometers an hour. Evening overnight, they'll continue to die down quickly. Temperatures around 6 for the overnight, 8 for tomorrow afternoon, then 10 for us on Friday, 12 on Saturday, and 11 on Sunday. We'll cloud over, and then we have the opportunity for evening showers. They should be long gone by Monday with a high, unlucky, 13. Chris.
Hey, unlucky. I mean, that wet weather tomorrow could easily have been snow this late into the season.
It could have been.
So good thing it's not.
No snow yet, folks.
All right, good. And thank you so much for joining us. Have a great night, everybody.